Imagine ditching your mouse and keyboard and controlling an AI like Microsoft Copilot with.
Yeah, I'll let you
Sounds wild,
And
right?
it really does.
Well, that's exactly the intriguing thought one of you shared with us, and it's where we're diving deep today.
Yeah, it's the kind of idea that, makes you really rethink the fundamental ways we interact with these increasingly sophisticated systems.
Absolutely. And we've got a fascinating sort of two-pronged approach to this. First, we're looking at the direct exchange our listener had with Microsoft Copilot itself about this very concept.
The AI's take.
Exactly. Then we'll dig into a more detailed thought experiment document that really unpacks the potential and, well, the pitfalls too.
Got it. A deeper analysis.
So our mission today is really to give you the inside track on what controlling AI with a joystick could actually mean, the surprising upsides maybe, and the not so obvious challenges. Ready to explore this unexpected possibility.
Let's do it. So let's start with that initial spark, the listener's actual question to Copilot. What happened when they first floated this joystick idea?
Well, it started pretty straightforwardly. The user simply asked, I'm missing the joystick for the Copilot.
Okay. A bit ambiguous, maybe?
Yeah, understandably, the AI initially interpreted that quite literally. It responded asking if they were looking for info on specific joystick hardware or software,
Right.
and offered to help find just that.
That makes sense. A logical first step for the AI, processing joystick as a physical device.
Exactly. So the user then clarified, saying, I meant the Microsoft Copilot itself.
Ah, okay. Pointing to the AI.
Right. And Copilot's response was quite clear then. It said something like, you mean Microsoft Copilot. I am exactly that, your AI companion. Yeah, the usual stuff. It then directly stated that there's no current built-in support for using external controllers like joysticks, but it did still offer assistance with the existing ways to interact, provided some tips.
It's basically a polite not yet, it seems. But that wasn't quite the end of the exploration, was it? The listener then shifted gears more into the hypothetical.
That's right. And this is where things got really interesting, I think. The user followed up with, what would it mean if you could also be controlled via joystick?
Okay.
And that's when Copilot really seemed to engage with the idea on a different level.
And what kind of possibilities did it start to envision then?
It got surprisingly creative. Copilot described a completely different paradigm for interaction. It immediately drew a parallel to controlling a character in a video game.
Like moving an avatar around?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It even suggested some pretty concrete examples, like imagine dedicated buttons for specific Copilot functions using the joystick's movement to maybe navigate through the AI's responses.
Okay.
And get this, a dedicated button for a sarcastic answer.
A sarcasm button.
Yeah.
That's certainly a unique interface element.
It is. But, beyond that, perhaps slightly humorous suggestion, Copilot also pointed out the potential for a new level of user-friendliness, particularly for individuals who might benefit from alternative input methods.
Yeah, the accessibility angle.
And then, crucially, it directly asked the user if they would actually prefer controlling it with a joystick over giving traditional commands.
That question really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? User experience, practical merit.
Exactly.
Now, our second source, that thought experiment, it takes this initial spark and dives much deeper, you said.
It does.
What were some of the more maybe profound implications it explored?
Okay, so this thought experiment, it really unpacks what it would mean to move beyond the standard ways we, tell computers what to do, typing and speaking.
Right.
One of the key points it raises is the potential for a much more tactile and intuitive connection. You're physically manipulating something to guide the AI's actions.
That physical element could definitely create a different kind of engagement. It's maybe less abstract than typing out a command.
Exactly. And the thought experiment goes on to suggest the possibility of really fine-grained control over the AI's output.
How?
Well, think about using the subtle movements of a joystick to adjust the tone of Copilot's writing. Maybe making it sound more formal with a slight push in one direction, or more playful with a nudge in another.
Ah, okay.
Or even subtly influencing the focus of a research query as it's happening.
That level of nuanced influence is fascinating. It moves beyond the more binary on-off nature of traditional commands. It's almost like, gesturing to guide the AI.
Precisely. And it doesn't stop at just text. The thought experiment also explores completely new ways to interact with AI in creative fields.
Like what?
For things like digital design or art. A joystick could offer a much more natural, direct way to manipulate elements on screen, almost like physically sculpting in a digital space, maybe, with Copilot acting as your intelligent assistant throughout that process.
Yeah, that resonates. For creative tasks that involve spatial reasoning or, fine motor control, a physical input like a joystick could feel far more organic than a mouse sometimes.
And perhaps most importantly, the thought experiment really emphasizes the significant potential benefits for accessibility.
Right. We touched on that.
For individuals with disabilities who find typing or using a traditional mouse difficult, maybe even impossible, a joystick could provide a much more accessible and user-friendly way to interact with AI.
That's a crucial point. It really highlights how this seemingly niche idea could actually have a really significant impact on inclusivity in tech.
It does.
Yeah.
And it even goes a step further, sort of hinting at a future where the lines between the AI assistant and physical control become, well, blurred.
Word how?
Imagine using Copilot to control, say, a robotic arm, where your precise joystick movements directly translate into the arm's actions in the real world.
Wow, okay. That truly expands the possibilities, envisioning a much tighter integration between digital intelligence and physical action through this kind of interface.
Yeah.
So let's maybe delve a bit deeper into the specific advantages that this thought experiment highlights. What are the key potential benefits it lays out?
Well, as we touched on, that increased precision and nuance in both what you ask of Copilot and how it responds. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The fine motor control offered by a joystick could allow for much more subtle, more expressive communication, potentially.
Right.
Then there's the potential for streamlined workflows in specific creative areas, like digital painting or 3D modeling, where that direct physical manipulation could significantly speed things up.
And the enhanced accessibility we've discussed, that remains a really compelling potential advantage.
Absolutely. Plus, there's just the sheer novelty of it. A joystick interface could simply make interacting with AI feel more engaging, maybe even fun, particularly for younger users, perhaps.
Sure.
It shifts the interaction away from feeling purely transactional and more like, well, almost like playing a game in a way. And finally, the thought experiment suggests we might see entirely new creative applications just emerge from this unique combination of AI and physical manipulation, give people a new tool.
And they'll find uses for it you didn't expect.
Yeah. That element of unexpected innovation is often where the most exciting developments happen.
Exactly.
But of course, any novel idea like this comes with its set of challenges. What are some of the key hurdles that the thought experiment identifies?
Oh, quite a few. And they're pretty significant. One of the biggest is the sheer complexity of mapping Copilot's incredibly diverse range of functions onto, well, a limited set of joystick controls.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
You'd likely need a really intricate system, button combinations, different modes, maybe even force feedback to access everything effectively.
Think about the sheer number of commands and options Copilot offers. Condensing all that down to the inputs available on a typical joystick, that presents a considerable design puzzle.
Exactly. Then there's the learning curve. Even with a, well-designed system, it would undoubtedly take time and effort for users to learn how to intuitively control Copilot with a joystick. It's just a fundamentally different way of interacting.
Sure, it's not second nature like typing for many people. And we also have to consider user preference. I mean, many people might simply prefer the speed and directness of typing or speaking their commands, especially for certain tasks. It's just what they're accustomed to.
Familiarity and efficiency are indeed powerful drivers in how people choose to interact with technology, hard habits to break.
Absolutely. And then from a technical standpoint, actually creating the necessary software and hardware integration to make a joystick control AI seamlessly, that would be a massive undertaking.
Yeah, not trivial.
It's not just a matter of plugging in a joystick and expecting it to work. There would need to be significant underlying development, a whole new layer.
It would require a deep understanding of both the input device itself and the AI's architecture to bridge that gap effectively.
Right. And the thought experiment also wisely points out the importance of identifying the right use cases. Not every single function of Copilot would necessarily be enhanced by joystick control.
Good point.
We need to pinpoint the specific areas where it offers a clear, tangible advantage over typing or voice.
Makes sense. Focus the effort where it counts.
And finally, there's the potential for imprecise or accidental inputs. The very nature of physically manipulating a joystick means there's probably a higher chance of unintentionally triggering commands.
Slipping or hitting the wrong button.
Yeah, so a very carefully considered control scheme maybe with safeguards, would be essential.
So, while the initial idea is certainly intriguing, maybe even exciting, there are some very real and practical challenges that would need serious work to overcome to make it a viable reality.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize all of this. What are the core insights, the key takeaways we can draw from this deep dive into the idea of controlling AI with a joystick?
Well, I think it's clear that while it's definitely not a current feature, the concept of using a joystick to interact with something like Copilot is a really thought-provoking one. It could potentially revolutionize how we engage with AI down the line.
Yeah.
We've explored the significant potential benefits, that enhanced precision for certain tasks, the improved accessibility for a wider range of users, and the possibility of just more engaging and intuitive interactions, particularly in those creative domains.
But on the flip side, we've also highlighted the considerable hurdles, the complexity of mapping all those diverse AI functions to a limited set of physical controls,
Right.
ensuring a smooth and learnable user experience, and crucially, identifying the specific scenarios where joystick control actually offers a genuine advantage. Those are all substantial challenges.
Exactly. They'd need to be addressed properly. Ultimately, I think the viability of this idea likely hinges on identifying those specific use cases, the ones where the benefits of tactile physical control truly outweigh the efficiency and familiarity of existing input methods like keyboards and mice.
And it all really comes back to that initial spark of curiosity from our listener, doesn't it? It's a genuinely insightful question that opens up this whole realm of possibilities about the evolving landscape of human AI interaction.
It really does. And as AI continues to become more integrated into our daily lives, maybe it's not unreasonable to anticipate a wider array of control options emerging, potentially including joysticks or maybe other forms of physical interfaces we haven't even thought of much yet, tailored to different needs and preferences.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Think about the specific ways you currently interact with AI in your life. In which of those interactions might a more tactile physical control method like a joystick actually enhance or even transform your experience? What new possibilities could that unlock for you?